Good afternoon, YouTube. Back for another video. In this video, I will just give my opinion on good debt versus bad debt. A subscriber asked me to give my opinion on good and bad debt. I mean, just like everything else in life, um, too much of anything is not good. But debt and having access to debt has been the number one tool that has helped me get in the position I am in. If it wasn't for debt and having access to it and knowing how to use debt, uh, there's no way I would have been able to um, make the money I made. So it limits you when you don't have access to credit. Um, it limits you. However, you have to know how to use debt. So really, the conversation is how you use debt. If all your debt is related to paying your expenses, uh, that's where it becomes bad, in my opinion. But if you know how to use debt to create cash flow, whether it's real estate or even in the stock market, margin is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. It just requires you to be a more sophisticated investor. So most people, they know about real estate, but you can also borrow in the markets as well. And actually, believe it or not, if you're thinking long term, right now is not a bad time to even enter the market, even though we have all the FUD and the talks of inflation and the war. At some point, all that is going to clear up, and I feel like we're going to be back in a bull market at some point this year. So you can't be afraid. This is actually a good time to pick up a lot of stocks that are beat down if you're thinking about going long. But I love debt. Like debt is a great tool, and you can grow your wealth a lot faster with leverage instead of saving your way. Savings is a great thing. It's a good attribute to have, but you're just limited based off of what you make. With debt, you can increase your returns. So this is just an example. You're talking about good debt adds value. Uh, you borrow money for a primary house. In my opinion, that's a liability, and that's bad debt because it's a place to stay. Now, there's nothing wrong with buying a primary house, but in my opinion, it's really not an investment because it's not adding monthly cash flow to your pockets. So a rental property that's cash flowing. Let's say if the mortgage is $1,000 a month and you're renting it out for $1,500 a month, then that would be an asset. That's actually a good debt because you're able to put $500 a month in your pocket. So that's what actually makes it good debt. And they're saying here bad expenses, credit card debt is almost always bad debt. I disagree with that because I use credit cards to invest. So if you're using credit cards to fund to add an extension to your income, then yeah, it's bad. But if you know how to strategically use credit cards are actually assets. Like I look at a credit card like a rental property because you can actually add people as authorized users to create cash flow. So anything can be an asset or a liability. It just depends on the way you use it and how your mind is wired. Like you can make anything an asset or a liability. For most people, credit cards are liabilities. For me, a credit card is an asset because I know how to use it. You can actually travel free off credit cards. You can sell authorized user trade lines to other people who actually may need a boost with their credit score. So there's a lot of different ways you can create cash flow. And really, in our country, in my opinion, we don't have a problem with making money because there's plenty of ways you can make money, whether it's a job or we have a gig society now where there's a lot of opportunities to make cash. We have an investment uh, problem in our country. A lot of people, they haven't taken the risk or they haven't really studied about investing, but there's plenty of ways to make cash. And retirement is just cash flow. So just learning how to cash flow, um, that's really where you retire at. Because there's not really a set age to retire if you understand cash flow. Just being able to manage your life without working till you're 80 years old. It doesn't really take a lot. I mean, you have real estate, that's a good option. I would say if you got the average retirement is probably not even $4 or $5,000 a month. So if you want to do it the real estate way, you can pick up a couple of duplexes and a couple single family homes, and you can create a cash flow of 3 or 4 thousand bucks a month now, with the correct mindset. So it's just all on how you analyze debt. Some people they just don't want any debt at all, which is fine. Everybody's opinion matters, but I just think in the long run you're limiting what you can actually do by just paying cash for everything. Um, so I mean, some people always say that I'll pay cash for cars. That's just their motto. They like to pay for cars cash. I would never pay cash for a car because I could put that same money in the stock market, or I could put that in a rental property, and the cash flow from the rental property, or just holding a stock long, is going to make me far more money than paying cash for a vehicle that's actually losing value. So everybody's mind is wired differently. I understand why some people like to pay things off in cash. There's nothing wrong with that strategy, but I just think you can make more money above by investing your money in stock market or real estate, which it carries risk. Everything carries risk, and if you have a long term mindset, I definitely think that it makes more sense to just put your money to work and make a payment. But your cash flow has to be sufficient to even do that. Now, if you're not um, really an investor, then yes, it's going to be best to pay for your car cash. Um, so that's just my opinion on this subject. It's been going on. It's a topic that's getting covered a lot now, and it goes on. It's a back and forth debate. I mean, it's very difficult to operate in America paying everything cash, in my opinion. I mean, how to you have to learn how to manage debt. The government is in debt, so they can't tell us to stay out of it or don't use it when that's how the economy actually operates. If there's no debt, then the economy doesn't grow. So you just have to learn how to be savvy when it comes to using debt. Just learning how to manage debt. So it's more so about managing debt than not using it at all. So it's a simple rule about debt is that if it increases your net worth or future value, it's good debt. And if it doesn't do that, you don't have to cash to pay for it, it's bad debt. So pretty much what that means is if you're using your credit cards um, for an investment or just to go buy a liability, let's say if you want to buy a $300 pair of shoes, if you're using your cash that you would actually pay for that to invest, and you can earn above the percentage that you're paying on the credit card, then that would actually be a good time to use your cash to invest instead of paying off debt. So it's just all about cash flow, YouTube. The bottom line with retirement or the discussion over good debt versus bad debt, it's always going to come down to your cash flow. If you have substantial cash flow, there's nothing wrong with borrowing money to increase your returns. So I'm going to stop here on this video right now. I'm not your financial advisor. I'd love to have a subscription from you if you choose to. Like, share, subscribe. And until next time, signing off.